Wesley Clark u takua me komunitetin shqiptar në New York. Takim ky i organizuar nga Vehbi Bajrami në një fushat për të ndihmuar në rritjen e fondeve për organizatën jo përfituese Renew America Together, që drejtohet nga Wesley Clark. Në një mbrëmje mbledhje fondesh, fundraisers, të organizuar nga gazeta shqiptaro-amerikane, Iliria, lobistët, biznesmen, politikan, veprimtar dhe aktivistë të dalluar të komunitetit shqiptar u mbledhën në restorantin Royal 35 Steakhouse në Manhattan për të ndihmuar rritjen e fondeve për organizatën jo përfituese Renew America Together, që drejtohet nga Wesley Clark. Donatorët e kësaj fushate për ngritjen e fondeve financiare ishin nga Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës, Kanadaja dhe Europa, përfshirë biznesmenin Nasser Berisha Kanada, filantropin Muharrem Saliu dhe Alban Saliu Itali dhe filantropistin Lazim Destani Gjermani dhe Lulzim Morina nga Tirana, që dërguan nga një përshëndetje. Vehbi Bajrami, organizatori i këtij takimi, kishte ftuar Gjeneralin Wesley Clark dhe bashkëshortën e tij në New York për të falendëruar edhe një herë ata si ish komandant suprem i NATO-s në pranverën e vitit 1999, që udhëhoqi fushatën 78 ditore bombardimeve ndaj objektivave ushtarake serbe nga NATO, deri në tërheqjen e plotë të trupave pushtuese serbe nga Kosova. Megjithse synimi i vizitës ishte për të ndihmuar organizatën jo përfituese Renew America Together, që drejtohet nga Wesley Clark, tha organizatori i këtij eventi, zoti Vehbi Bajrami, mendoj se ky takim me Clark ishte që ta ndihmojmë organizatën e tij dhe në emër të komunitetit shqiptar të shprehim edhe një herë atë mirënjohjen e madhe të popullit shqiptar, generalit në pension, i cili po vazhdon të përkrahë Kosovën në hapat e saj për forcimin e shtetit të Kosovës, ruajtjen e sovranitetit, forcimin e demokracisë dhe zhvillimin ekonomik të saj. Mbrëmjen për ngritjen e fondeve e drejtoi një mik i dëshmuar i shqiptarëve në Shtetet e Bashkuara të Amerikës, Christopher Highland, ish drejtor kombëtar politik i fushatës së presidentit Clinton, i cili mbasi foli për kontributin e shqiptarëve të Amerikës, ka veçuar atë të veprimtarit të njohur Jim Gjema, lidhjet e tij me Washingtonin. Highland po ashtu bëri dhe prezantimin e generalit Wesley Clark, duke thënë se Kosova ka nevojë për generalin në pension, shpëtimtarin e Kosovës që ta ndihmojë atë, dhe tani kur asaj po i rrezikohet integriteti i saj territorial dhe kushtetues. Në emër të lokalit Royal 35 Steakhouse, takimin me generalin Wesley Clark e përshëndeti njëri nga pronarët e asaj, doktor Adem Sinanaj. Ai tha se janë vërtet shumë i kënaqur të mirëpres në Steakhouse 35 generalin Wesley Clark dhe bashkëshortën e tij Gertën, dhe kam nderin që t'i falenderoj atë që udhëheqja dhe përkushtimi i tij ndaj shërbimit që i bëri Kosovës për liri është i jashtëzakonshëm dhe frymëzues. Generali Wesley Clark është ai që në këtë karrierë ka të përfshirë disa nga monumentet më sfiduese dhe përcaktuese të kohës sonë, si një general me 4 yje, komandant suprem i Aleancës Veriale Atlantike, generali Clark, dhe vlera e tij është e dukshme në të gjitha atë që ai ka arritur për të
betejës. Continue to inspire those who has had the privilege to know him. But beyond all of those accomplishments, General Clark is someone who led the strongest NATO alliance that helped save the Albanian people in Kosovo from Milosevic's brutal regime. He will be remembered by the Albanians of this generation and generation to come as a friend and ally. God bless you, General Clark. God bless America. Thank you very much tonight to be with us.
Më pas, generalin Wesley Clark e kanë përshëndetur ministri i shëndetësisë në Maqedoninë e Veriut. E falenderoj generalin Clark për gjithçka bëri ai si komandant i përgjithshëm i NATO-s në çlimin e Kosovës dhe vendosjen e paqes e sigurisë në rajon.
Very famous and well-known name between Albanians. I wish him all the best in these elections. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Albanian minorities in southern Serbia are famous. He's a leading Italian businessman. He is an incredible person. I've seen firsthand when I've been with him in Rome at the Vatican, what magic he works at the Vatican on behalf of the people of the Albanian world. It is an honor to present you this evening.
Afaristi Medvegjas dhe drejtori i organizatës AIDS, Muharrem Saliu, që po qëndronte për një vizitë në New York së bashku me djalin e tij Albani, foli në këtë takim për shqetësimet e shqiptarëve në komunat e Medvegj, Bujanovc dhe Preshev, diskriminimin e hapur nga pushteti serb përmes planit të pasifizimit të adresave të shqiptarëve. Saliu po ashtu kërkoi mbështetjen dhe lobimin e Gjeneralit Clark në Washington për të ngritur zërin për këtë shqetësim që po ndodh shqiptarëve. Ai tha se pasivizimi i këtyre trevave është një skenar i ngjashëm sikur në vitin 1999 që Serbia ndërmori veprimet e egra të spastrimit etnik, por që u parandalua nga ndërhyrja e NATO-s.
Harry Baratari wished he could have been here this evening, but he sends you his greetings, but his son Gane.
Për pjesëmarrjen në këtë vend e përshëndeti dhe filantropi i madh Lazim Destani në mesazhin e lexuar nga Highland. Destani mand të kësaj letre përcolli urimet e përzemërta përshëndet të mirë dhe aktivitetet të begata në të ardhmen për Clark. Më vjen thellësisht keqardhje, theksojnë të letrën e tij Destani, që nuk mund të bashkohem me ju personalisht për t'ju shprehur mbështetjen time në shërbimin që keni bërë ju general, punën që keni bërë deri tani përmes fondacionit Renew America Together, pavarësisht mungesës sime. Pra, për ju dhe kauzën tuaj, general, ju jemi jashtëzakonisht mirënjohës për mbështetjen tuaj të palëkundur ndaj kombit shqiptar, me shumë respekt, Lazim Destani.
Lazim Destani.
Meet you. Nice to see you too, and I'm honored to have this name and thank you.
Po ashtu, një falënderim dërgoi nga Tirana biznesmeni i njohur Kadri Morinaj. Nëpërmjet FaceTime djalit të tij, Clark Morinaj.
I will remember this for all of my days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. General.
Thank you.
He was a great friend, as was I, of the late Carl Willick, who I'm sure you remember, who began President Clinton's political career. Carl firmly believed that General Clark would be an outstanding president of the United States of America, and he flew to New York to personally tell me. Full credit and much thanks for conceiving and organizing this event goes to contractor and Illyria publisher Vehbi Bajrami, who has for a generation nobly animated the good cause of the Albanian world and of Kosovo. And much thanks and appreciation goes to the entire crew here at the restaurant and to all of you who have generously contributed to renew America together. Jim Gemma, who President Rugova, the founding president of Kosovo's family, described to me when they gave a dinner for me as the co-founding president of Kosovo, joins us this evening in honoring you, General Clark, albeit from the distance in Greenwich due to a very bad bat, unfortunately. General Clark is to Kosovo what Eisenhower was to Europe. Once civil authority was committed, Commander-in-Chief Clark, like Eisenhower, led the military arm against oppression, Kosovo then in a very dire state indeed. He, General Clark, giving life to Kosovo freedom and affording birth to the Kosovo Constitution, the most liberal and inclusive constitution ever written. Today, once again, General Clark, Kosovo needs you, the savior of Kosovo, to step forward, joining all of us here today and others in defense of the Kosovo Constitution, just as Eisenhower did after the war, like you as a private citizen, in stepping forward to defend the U.S. Constitution against the communists. controlling all the lithium in the world does not justify imposing ethnically and religiously designated ghettos throughout Kosovo, thereby in effect destroying the Kosovo constitution any more than allowing for similar or any reason ill-intended ethnically and religiously restricted enclaves in America would justify destroying the U.S. Constitution. American... Thank you. Having been a lone voice on this issue, it is good to hear and see that support. American leaders, such as General Clark, want to loudly affirm, as do we, that the USA seek to ever more so reinforce constitutional democracy as exemplified by the most inclusive, highly protective of minorities, gender, lifestyle communities, which constitutes the Kosovo Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and give a round of applause. It is our honor to welcome General Clark, whose actions as Commander-in-Chief of NATO gave place for the birth of Kosovo freedom and the birth of the Kosovo Constitution. Hip hip!
Gjeneralin e pension Wesley Clark e nisi fjalën e tij duke treguar një histori të vogël si ishte ai nga fëmijëria e tij në Little Rock, Arkansas. Më pas ai foli për shkollimin në ushtrinë në Shtetet e Bashkuara. Ai tha se kur u bëra komandant i NATO-s, ishte presidenti Clinton ai që vendosi atë në krahun e tij në administratën amerikane të vitit 1998. Dhe kështu ne filluam teksa negociuam 3 herë atë gjatë vitit 1998 me Miloševićin për të ndaluar spastrimin etnik që po ndodhte, tha Clark. Ndërkohë ai vazhdoi se kështu në udhëtimin tim të fundit u takuam në Beograd me Miloševićin për të negociuar një marrëveshje që ai të tërhiqte forcat militare paramilitare të inkuadruara në regjimentet e blinduara e kështu me radhë në Kosovë. Ne qëndruam në këmbë gjithë natën, deri të nesërmen në mëngjes kur dolëm për të nënshkruar atë marrëveshje që nuk u realizua. Miloševići na tha, tregoi Clark, teksa doli me një gotë raki në dorë, General Clark, a e dini se ne e dim si t'i trajtojmë këta shqiptarët, e kemi bërë më parë. Miloševići tha, ne i vrasim ata të gjithë, dhe ne do t'i vrasim të gjithë ashtu si që kemi vrarë deri tani. E kuptova që atëherë se po flisja me një kriminal të vërtet lufte, dhe kështu disa muaj më vonë e përforcova mendimin tim me 53 fermerët që u vranë në një hendek në Raçak. Ishte një ambasador i OSBE-s, ai që drejtonte atëherë misionin vëzhgues diplomatik në Kosovë, William Walker, që deklaroi se ajo ishte një masakër, tha Clark. Ai tha kështu disa ditë më vonë, me lejen e NATO-s, zbrita në Shqipëri dhe nga Tirana fluturova për në Serbi. U takova me Miloševićin, kalova 7 orë të fundit me të, sepse disa javë më pas nisën dhe bombardimet që zgjatën 78 ditë.
In 1994, I made my first trip into the Balkans. I went to Bosnia. And I saw these people who they basically looked alike. I'm sure the Croats might have had this weird gene that made them 7 feet tall, but most of them looked alike. And here they were killing Serbs, and Serbs were killing them, and the Muslims were in the middle of it. And it didn't make any sense. They spoke the same language. Of course, they had to say they were speaking a different language. They shared a common culture. They were intermarried. And I thought to myself, my goodness, if these people can hate each other and kill each other like this, we're so lucky in America that it hasn't happened like this here. So with Richard Holbrooke, we stopped the fighting. I became the NATO commander, and Bill Clinton put his arm around my shoulder in 1998 at a conference. He said, Wes, he said, you're going to take care of Kosovo, right? I said, yes, Mr. President. And so we negotiated 3 times that autumn of 1998 with Milosevic to stop the ethnic cleansing that was going on. We knew it was going on. The Albanian military told me we can see the mortar fire and the artillery going in from the high ground in Albania. We can see it going again against our cousins in Kosovo. And so on my last trip to with Milosevic, we had negotiated an agreement that he would pull out those forces, that MP brigade and that armored regiment and so forth that were behind the Serb oppression. And we stayed up all night, and the next morning we came out to sign it. And Milosevic said, with his brandy in his hand, he said, General Clark, he said, you know, he said, we know how to handle these Albanians. We've done it before. I said, well, oh, how was that, Mr. President? He said, we killed them. We killed them all. And I knew right then I was talking to a real war criminal. And so a few months later, 53 farmers were murdered in a ditch in Raychok. It was a Saturday. Ambassador who was running the Kosovo diplomatic observer mission, Bill Walker, called me. He said, Wes, he said, I've been in Central America. I know what a massacre looks like. This is a massacre. So a few days later, with the permission of NATO, I flew down to Albania. I flew down to Serbia. I met with Milosevic. Spent 7 hours with him. Said, Mr. President, you got to let the International Criminal Tribunal come in and investigate. You got to let Ambassador Bill Walker back in. You got to treat this as a reasonable event, and we have to get to the bottom of it. He said, General Clark, he said, I'm already doing an investigation, and I can tell you how it will turn out. I said, well, if you're already doing an investigation, you already know the outcome, and it's not finished, it's not much of an investigation, is it? So we went back and forth on this in his presidential thing for 7 hours. And meanwhile, you know, his buddies there, Milutinovic and others would say, like, you see, he's so hard, but don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. Finally, you know, I'm just a soldier. I'm from Arkansas. I know a liar and a war criminal when I meet one, and enough is enough. I said, Mr. President, you've made yourself perfectly clear. You don't want to do this. I'm going to return to NATO, and they're going to tell me to start moving aircraft. He turned purple. He said, you are a war criminal. He started screaming at me. I said, look, I'm giving you the chance. I'll take your message back to NATO. And so I did. And so they were stubborn. The Russians had told them, don't worry about NATO air power. They went through the negotiations again at Rambouillet. They said no. And on the 24th of March, 1999, we started this. And I said to Milosevic publicly, I said, we're going to attack, degrade, attrit, and ultimately destroy that which you most value until you cease what you're doing. 78 days later, with the threat of a ground invasion, the strengthening of the Kosovo Liberation Army, and diplomatic effort led by the President of Finland and the Vice President of Russia, Milosevic decided to toss in the towel. He'd had enough. And so on the 10th of June, he agreed to pull back. The Russians tried a special operation to get Pristina Airfield. I knew what it was immediately. We decided that we weren't going to bomb the Russians. We were just going to starve them out. So we locked them in the airfield, and they were dependent on us for all their supplies. Eventually, they went away. That's how it was. But it was an incredible moment for me when I realized that what we had done and what the implications would be. And today, Kosovo is an independent country, and I'm so very, very proud of Kosovo. and what it means, and proud of you and all your support for Kosovo. There's a long way to go. There's a lot of work to do, but Kosovo is an independent country. But now let me tell you why I've asked you for your help tonight. There's a movie out in America called...
Pas ka treguar se organizata që ai drejton është themeluar në vitin 2019 nga vetë ai. Renew America Together është një organizatë e krijuar në përgjigje të ndarjes në rritje në vendin tonë, si një përpjekje për të bashkuar njerëzit përsëri. Renew America Together, sqaroi Clark, është një organizatë jo përfituese, e krijuar për të promovuar dhe arritur një bazë më të madhe të përbashkët në Amerikë, duke reduktuar ndarjen dhe bllokimin partizan. Ndërsa misioni i kësaj organizate, tha ai, është të rigjallërojmë diskursin publik dhe politik duke mësuar dhe promovuar qytetarinë dhe qytetarin. Renew America Together ka programe në të gjithë Amerikën që po punojnë në trajnimin e civilizimit dhe drejtohet nga Instituti i Leadershipit Civil. Tha ai.
People who've been through this. After I finished, a guy told me, he says, look, Wes, you don't understand politics. The key is, 3 keys in politics. Define yourself, define your opponent, and react quickly to attacks. Well, but here's the thing. In politics, because then there's no reason anybody to vote for you. So if he says the sky is blue, you're going to say, well, not always. If he says the water's too cold, you're going to say, well, sometimes it's warm. You're always going to have a different view. And somehow in this country, we've gotten it mixed up to think that there's more dividing us than uniting us. And it's not true. Americans have much more together. Our Constitution, our shared history, our values, than those issues that divide us. And so, how do we bridge that gap in communication? That's what Renew America Together is about. And that's what you all are helping me promote with this fundraising dinner. We have worked together otherwise. And so, this is really important. You love America, you're here. And I'm asking your help to help us preserve what's wonderful about America, which is the melting pot that we bring people in when we first got a country. So I'm so grateful to you for your support tonight and for helping us work together to preserve what's special about America, strengthen the togetherness, help Americans renew their faith in each other and their ability to communicate, and bring the Albanian community, the Chinese American community, and every other community together. We're all the same people underneath. That's the vision and the promise of America. We have to make it now real for all of us. Thank you.
General, one last thing. We have an honor from the Senator. Is that correct? Yes. And just before that, we would like to present from everyone here, from all of us, a memento of this evening to General and Mrs. Clark. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Now this is the General's General.
You're darn right.
Thank you again for your help tonight, baby. Thank you so much.
Nice to see you again. Thank you. Thank you.
Renew America Together. We are all happy to be here.
It's my real honor to be here among the Albanian community. show my support for you.
Global. Know Vehbi as a businessman, successful business, a construction business in New York. We really weren't familiar with his other activities. He had told us that he was a journalist, but we thought that was in the distant past, and we're very pleased to find out that this side of Vehbi exists. He's clearly a man who wears many, many hats. We are grateful to be here tonight with the Albanian community in New York, and we're grateful to be here to honor General Wesley Clark, and clearly his very, very important organization that he is involved with, Renew America. We appreciate
of Kosovo freedom and the birth of the Kosovo Constitution. Hip hip!
Televizionin e shqiptarëve të Amerikës, ALB TV USA, dhe qirë,